Okay, good morning. Welcome to our June 1st. We're in a brand new month, 2026, daily or mostly daily situation briefing. Just depends on how much, what's going on for the morning or the day. A little bit late this morning, just having some technical problems with the live stream, but I think we got it sorted out. So pretty busy last few days across the country with a lot of the rain that's been going on. A lot of lightning strikes had started up some new fires. So we're kind of just keeping an eye on things as per usual. And going to go through the full briefing today. And if you need a copy of this briefing, you can get it right now on app.hazardscape.com. It's there's no credit card required, no cost required. You can go there right now and get the situation brief. You can download it on Word for your leadership. There you go. It's app.hazardscape.com. And we are able to do this through our sponsorship. So we have a sponsorship with Premier Fire and Flood. They do disaster and emergency restoration across Indigenous and non-Indigenous communities. And they make it, Darcy and his team make it possible for us to provide these briefings. And they sponsor the disaster and emergency management training that we give to First Nations, Metis and Inuit communities. So if you're looking for that training and to get your emergency management certificate, you can get that right now at app.hazardscape.com. And that's part of the sponsorship because we don't take government money. And then we also have First Nations owned All About Abatement. Kyle is a First Nations from BC. He does mold, asbestos, and lead abatement. I want to thank them as well for that partnership that we have with them. They, again, also make it possible for us to do these briefings daily. And they're also sponsoring the emergency management certificate program that we have for First Nations, Métis, and Inuit communities. And if you're interested in any of their services, you can reach out directly to Hazardscape or directly to All About Abatement. I know right now Premier's focused on a lot of the flooding that's going on. They have a rapid response team with a big 50-foot trailer that is ready to go right now. So if you have the need for dehumidifiers, fans, any kind of flood protection, restoration to keep that mold growth down, you can contact them and they will get that out for you. But going back to our briefing, a lot of activity. So I think we'll start with the flooding. Let's see, that's where we are. So there has been some significant activity with higher water levels, especially coming off the Rocky Mountains. And, you can kind of see right now where the problem areas are. And if you notice, like the Mackenzie River up there, we've got some water basins down in the prairies, across Saskatchewan, and then into northern Manitoba. So if we look around, even down at kind of like Siksika, you can see quite a peak, a spike there in the Bow River forecast for, coming into the next few days. And that's from all of the rain, the continued snow melt in the Rockies. So they're going to see a little bit of higher water levels, nothing getting into the extreme as of yet. Down near southern Alberta around Beaver Mines, then we've got Blood Tribe. They're kind of going to see a little bit of a danger levels, but nothing peaking into that extreme flood levels as of today. Where it is peaking, though, is we're just adding on to that water that was flooding Saskatchewan the last few weeks. Their water levels started to come down but now the precipitation that's happening is bringing them back up to that extreme level, as you can see. So yeah, kind of as far as rivers and the basins and the creeks go, nothing that is, within those kind of, massive extraordinary flood levels, maybe some localized flooding. And we'll take a look at, there's a flash flood here over in Petty Harbor, Maddox Cove. We'll look at the weather forecast here in just a little bit, but definitely just something to watch out for. And then we've got groundwater saturation. So any flooding that's going to happen is probably going to be very related to groundwater saturation. So check your basements, check all the corners. If you've got stored items and stored goods, make sure that you check all the corners and the crooks and the nannies, or the crooks, corners, whatever it is, the little corners, a little where the wall connects the floor. I don't know what I'm talking about. Check those spots for water seepage and just make sure it's not pooling. And if you have a sump pump, make sure that it's working. So even the Slave River, definitely, it was already kind of in that below extreme level. The forecasts don't seem to be taking them much more than that. So it's kind of just on the edge. I think we're just on the edge of any type of significant flood event. But that did spark, with the, well, let's just take a look here. Actually, I want to check first if we have any weather warnings across the country, live weather alerts. So primarily focused in on the rain, it looks like. So total amount 40 to 60 millimeters are expected by the time the rain tapers off on Tuesday. That's kind of in the southwest of Alberta. Around here, we got 50 to 100. And then it looks like in Saskatchewan, they're going to be back to a heat warning. So we got all sorts of wacky things going on across the country. Even here, frost advisory. And then here's that special weather statement, accumulating snow 2 centimeters. Like we've got torrential rainfall, heat that is still sparked by that heat wave going on in Saskatchewan, Manitoba. We'll take a look at that. Frost and snow in Atlantic Canada. So, and then we've got evacuations. We had, where did we go? 2 major wildfires triggered evacuations across northern Saskatchewan. 1,200 evacuees from Red Earth Cree Nation and Shoal Lake Cree Nation displaced as of Sunday. Lobstick fire southwest of Prince Albert is at 19,000 hectares, roughly the size of the city of Regina. It triggered evacuation orders affecting residents near Shellbrook. Beardies and Okimesas First Nation remains within 20-kilometer threat zone. So the Cayford fire south of Red Earth Cree Nation remains below 10,000 hectares and approximately 2.5 kilometers south of Highway 55. So we'll take a look at all of this here as we dive into the fire risk now. So you can see where all of that precipitation has gathered in the prairies, right? Kind of in Alberta, Northwest Territories, up in the Yukon. But then we've still got those extreme heat warnings that are happening in Saskatchewan, Manitoba, and Western Ontario, whereas much of Alberta the fire weather is decreasing. You've got fire danger is still increasing in Saskatchewan, Manitoba, Ontario, Labrador, BC, parts of Northwest Territories. And so it just goes to tell you that, when you take this holistic look across the country, just how vast it is, what one community is going through, the other one is going through something totally different. So we're still seeing, those temperatures rise around Manitoba. And you can see where that cooler weather and that wind is just funneling all that precipitation and cool weather down through Alberta. Like it's almost kind of like a perfect path that you can see up in, Wood Buffalo, the northwest of Saskatchewan, but then we've got these really hot weathers here. So we take a look at, that storm movement as of right now. It's kind of tracking just to continue to hang around Alberta until we get into, Tuesday, where we'll see some of it move a little bit more east and start to dissipate. So as we get into like Wednesday, let's see what Tuesday afternoon looks like. Tomorrow, we're still going to be seeing some of those cooler temperatures, the heat wave across Manitoba and Ontario. By Wednesday afternoon, looks like the prairies will be back to somewhat normal temperatures. It'll cool down, but that heat is just going to travel across into southern Ontario, probably Quebec, as we move along here to Thursday. And it's going to make its way and finish up. But the forecast right now by, Friday, let's go to Friday afternoon, back into those warmer weather around Garden River, Fox Lake, High Level, northern Saskatchewan. Friday afternoon, about 2 p.m., you're going to be back into those mid-20s. So it won't take long for the fire weather index to kind of, get back to that moderate 6 to 22 in Alberta, Saskatchewan, Northwest Territories. All this rain is great, but we would need this amount of rain for months and months over a couple of years to actually deal with the drought that we're in. So as we kind of take a look at that, the next hour, you can just see how that weather, this is the satellite imagery, how it's moving across, right? It's just kind of, that band is just sticking around Alberta, heading up into Northwest Territories and none of it. But we'll still see. I don't want to look at the heat maps. What else do we have on our radar? So in terms of Peter Ballantyne Cree Nation, they've got some emergency safety measures for pelican narrows following escalating violence. Drought conditions have persisted across much of Canada, and temperature and precipitation patterns are favorable for wildfires. I think with Alberta, if we go to our fire starts, I know this little grouping around Conklin, that was all lightning based. So you can see here too, this is the Red Earth, the Kayford fire that's impacting Red Earth Cree Nation. And then we've got this out of control one here at Lobstick. And then we had a bunch of new starts up in Manitoba just north of yesterday, all in the afternoon from that heat. So same with Ontario. You're going to see kind of that banding. You can kind of see where everything's just been starting up here, heading east to northwest, which is basically following the temperature right now, which is, if we look at, you can see where that heat is in Saskatchewan, Manitoba, going across to the Great Lakes. That's exactly that pattern that you're seeing of new fire startups. So where that heat and dryness persists, the fire shall start. And even though we were forecasted to have a lot of that rain in Alberta, lightning strikes did impact quite a bit. So even with rain in the forecast, you always got to be vigilant and still stay on top of what's going on. What else here? Portions Saskatchewan and Manitoba are dealing with high heat, and for some communities, poor air quality. Let's look at the fire smoke. See how they're dealing with that. Yeah, we're starting to see more fire smoke with the fires now. We had a pretty good May for air quality, but you can see here that with that banding of heat and those new fire startups, Edmonton is even positioned to get some smoke tomorrow. And if you're following along our weather station setup, we'll have an air quality testing station set up, and we'll be taking some of our own readings. But yeah, over tomorrow, you can kind of see BC too, central BC, Vancouver. Let's kind of watch it. This is going into the morning on the 3rd of June. But right now, as of, we'll go a little bit more here. This is kind of what the smoke is going to look like. It's going to be much of Edmonton, Calgary. We could check IQ Air. See what the actual numbers are for air quality. Wait, we'll go back. Actually, what I'll do is I'll pull it up on this one, because it gives a little bit better of a representation. And if you're looking for access to all of these maps, if you want all the links to the data, you can get them right now on our site. You can sign up, no credit card required. You don't need any air quality index. There we go. So there's the air quality right now for, which kind of lines up with what we're seeing through the fire smoke, right? So it's going to get a little bit worse, right? There's where the fire smoke is. We're starting to see those patterns. So this was Monday. That's the forecast. We're going to go back to like about right now. You can kind of watch how the air quality is going to get a little bit worse as that light green to sort of this brownish color around where my pointer is. You're going to kind of see it persist around that part of Saskatchewan, down in Vancouver. So by Tuesday, won't be too bad. There's going to be that hot spot. This is where those fires are burning around red earth. So you can see with the wind patterns, it's going to get quite hazardous. And, you know, that's where we start talking to First Nations, Inuit communities, Métis communities about getting testing now. If they're evacuated, making sure that they get tape lift tests on their homes for smoke contamination, because if anybody's left their windows open, or if their attics or soffits have sucked up any of that smoke, you can get funding. Where's my other map here? You can get funding from Indigenous Services Canada if it's within certain levels. And so we always, right now, this is kind of registering at about, on the parts per million, 2.5, kind of in that 18 to 28 right now. Whereas if you get into Alberta, there is some smoke that it's getting into that little higher range of 60 plus. So yeah, with as we watch kind of things progress here, even with the temperatures, you know, if you look at Saskatchewan, Manitoba, Ontario, you can see how the new fire starts are just following that heat pattern. And the ones up in Alberta here, that little cluster, that was all lightning strikes that we were tracking on Saturday morning. There, Conklin just got hit with a bunch of lightning strikes and started up those 6 fires there. And you're going to kind of see this band. You can see it looks like a diagonal line. If you match that up with the heat, and where the heat is going to, if you watch through the week here, this is in the night, 3 a.m. We get into Tuesday afternoon, like right there. You can still see that same kind of area. That's where a lot of the new fire starts are going to happen. So those communities, if it's First Nation, if there's any Métis settlements or communities in there, that's where you're going to want to watch for, you know, that trigger of fire just based on those heat patterns. And then you'll want to just stay attuned to the air quality. And if you do want to access, again, all the links to this data and to these maps, you can go get them right now with our daily situation report that comes out every morning on our app. It's Indigenous focused. We pull from APTN, CBC, Indigenous, all of the Canadian environmental data, and we try to focus on First Nations, Métis, and Inuit communities. And if you're watching this recording from Nunavut and up in the Arctic, we've also got a section here on Arctic update, Nunavut and Inuit communities. So yeah, and this is all part of a sponsorship that we have with Premier Fire and Flood. They are property damage experts. They do disaster restoration. They have a mobile trailer that is full of equipment and ready to launch, whether it is to deal with groundwater seepage, overland flooding, if you need dehumidifiers, fans, if you need to start tearing out areas that have mold, they can do that right now. You just got to give them a call and talk to Darcy and his team, and they can get you set up. And we also have a sponsorship with All About Abatement. They are First Nations owned, and they do asbestos, mold, lead, any hazardous material assessment and abatement. They do testing as well. So if you need a hazardous materials assessment, then they are there for you. And Kyle, being First Nations himself, he understands the importance of having safe, healthy, clean homes. So you can go to All About Abatement right now. They're First Nations owned. Kyle will help you out with these services, especially following evacuation if you have contamination from smoke. And then Premier Flood and Fire, who is sponsoring all of our lives and training right now. So thank you to them. And again, you can get all of this information at app.hazardscape.com, including our daily situation report that you can download here through a Word document in case your leadership, elected officials, staff want a copy directly from you if you're an emergency management coordinator, whatever the case is. So with a lot of this rain and heat, it brings out different disasters. See if this one loads here. There's landslides you got to watch for, the evacuations that are going on. You can see all the heat there. But yeah, Shoal Lake still has their order. Drought conditions will probably not be updated for a couple of days, but we'll see how the drought conditions for May kind of show up with all this precipitation. See what that looks like, but that's only a small picture. All right. I think that's good for today. So if you were able to join us live, thank you for your time. If you ever have any questions or comments, if you're watching the recording, you can comment on our post or send us an email, or you can go directly to app.hazardscape.com and get that information on our app right now. There's no cost, no credit card required, and it will always be free. So thank you very much for your time. We will see you tomorrow morning with our next briefing. If you need to catch the recording of this, it'll be on our YouTube. It'll be on our Facebook, and you can catch our special weather statements, the wildfire risk, and all of our news at app.hazardscape.com if you want to download the daily Indigenous Emergency Management Situation Briefing. So I thank you all for your time. We will see you tomorrow morning. Stay safe if you are evacuated. And as always, know your hazardscape and stay prepared.